We have to face it. When you put two heavy hitters in the ring together, the fight is going to be epic. And today we are putting up two of the most powerful fighters from two different worlds, Godzilla and Martian. Only one will dominate this battle. So, who will it be? To answer this question, we'll take a deep dive into each one's powers, capabilities, and fighting experience. We'll also examine some of their most famous fights and how they got out of impossible situations. The ultimate goal is to determine which of these two titans would emerge victorious in a hypothetical all-out battle. But before we get into that, remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more amazing matchups like this one. Let's start with the king of the monsters, Godzilla. Godzilla is an enormous radioactive lizard-like creature. With his signature atomic breath, indestructible skin, and gigantic size, Godzilla is truly a force to be reckoned with. He has fought against many enemies, both human and otherwise, and has never backed down from a challenge. Now, let's talk about power levels. Godzilla's strength is almost immeasurable. His exact height and weight vary depending on the movie, but he is typically around 355 feet tall and weighs over 200,000 tons. This guy really packs a punch with a bite force of over 18,000 pounds per square inch. That's stronger than any other animal on Earth, including the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex. But that's not all. Godzilla can also shoot a powerful atomic breath attack from his mouth, which can reach temperatures of up to 150 million degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, anything caught in its path would be vaporized instantly. But what about weaknesses? Despite his immense power, Godzilla does have some weaknesses. He is vulnerable to extreme cold temperatures, and certain frequencies of sound can stun him. However, it takes a lot to bring down the king. It would take a combination of low temperatures and powerful sonic attacks to keep him down. Now let's take a look at some of Godzilla's most famous battles. In the 1954 film Godzilla, the original atomic breath version faced off against an army of the Gill-Man. The Gill-Man were a race of aquatic humanoids who had developed a hatred for humanity due to the damage that humans had done to the environment. Godzilla single-handedly took them all on and won, establishing himself as the true king of the monsters. In the 2014 film Godzilla, the Muto version went head-to-head with the Muto. The Muto was a massive creature that had been awoken from its slumber by nuclear testing. Godzilla and the Muto fought fiercely, but ultimately, Godzilla came out on top after a long and arduous battle. Now let's turn our attention to Martian Manhunter, also known as John Jones, is a superhero from DC Comics. He is a member of the Justice League and one of the most powerful telepaths in the DC universe. He possesses a range of abilities including shape-shifting, telekinesis, and the ability to fly. First up, his shape-shifting abilities. Martian Manhunter can change his shape at will, allowing him to take on different forms. He can alter his size, becoming either larger or smaller than his original form. Additionally, he can modify his facial features to resemble those of other people. This power is incredibly versatile and allows Martian Manhunter to sneak around unseen or to intimidate his opponents. Next, his telekinetic abilities. Martian Manhunter can move objects with his mind without having to touch them. This ability allows him to manipulate objects from a distance and is especially useful in combat, where he can use it to disarm his opponents or to hurl objects at them. Finally, his flying abilities. Martian Manhunter can fly at supersonic speeds, making him one of the fastest superheroes in the DC universe. This power allows him to engage in aerial combat and to reach his opponents more quickly. But what about weaknesses? Despite his impressive abilities, Martian Manhunter does have some weaknesses. For example, fire can weaken his powers and make it harder for him to shoot. Additionally, if he uses too much of his powers at once, it can cause him to become exhausted. Finally, Martian Manhunter is very empathetic, and this can be used against him, as he often feels the emotions of those around him. Now let's take a look at some of Martian Manhunter's most famous battles. In Justice League of America Volume 2, Number 40, Martian Manhunter faced off against the villain known as the Shade. The Shade was a powerful being who could manipulate shadows, and Martian Manhunter found himself outmatched. However, Martian Manhunter refused to give up, and he eventually managed to defeat the Shade by using his shape-shifting abilities to enter the villainous mind and break his concentration. In Justice League Volume 2, Number 36, Martian Manhunter and the rest of the Justice League went head-to-head against the villain Darkseid. Darkseid was a powerful being who could control the minds of others and turned many of the Justice League members against each other. However, Martian Manhunter was able to resist Darkseid's mind control, and he helped the other heroes to regain control as well. Now, let's determine who would win in a fight between Godzilla and Martian Manhunter. The outcome of this battle is difficult to predict, as both Godzilla and Martian Manhunter are incredibly powerful. Godzilla's atomic breath could potentially vaporize Martian Manhunter if it comes into contact with him. However, Martian Manhunter's telekinetic abilities could allow him to manipulate Godzilla's body and potentially stun him. Additionally, Martian Manhunter's shape-shifting abilities could allow him to avoid Godzilla's atomic breath attack altogether. However, there is one key factor that may give Martian Manhunter the edge he needs to win this battle: his telepathic abilities. If Martian Manhunter is able to get inside Godzilla's mind, he could potentially control the monster and turn it against itself. This could be a decisive factor in the battle, as Godzilla's immense power and strength would be used against itself. Ultimately, the winner of this battle would depend on a number of factors, including the environment in which the battle takes place, the level of aggression shown by each fighter, and whether or not Martian Manhunter is able to get inside Godzilla's mind. However, if Martian Manhunter is able to use his telepathic abilities effectively, he could potentially dominate the battle and emerge as the victor. What do you think? Who would win in a fight between Godzilla and Martian Manhunter? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's move on to the next matchup. Our next two fighters are no strangers to the world of comics. They have both been featured in countless storylines and have a massive following of fans, but only one can claim to be the ultimate ruler of the wasteland. Let's bug battle. The first fighter hailing from Marvel Comics is none other than the one and only Wolverine. Born James Howlett, this Canadian superhero is known for his incredible healing factor, adamantium skeleton, and animal-like senses. Over the years, Wolverine has proven himself to be a formidable fighter, capable of taking on some of the most dangerous villains in the Marvel Universe. From his days as a member of the X-Men to his time as a solo hero, Wolverine has shown that he is a true badass. Whether he is using his sharp claws to slice through enemies or his keen senses to anticipate their next move, this fierce fighter is always ready for action. But what about his weaknesses? As powerful as Wolverine is, he's not invincible. In fact, he has a few notable weaknesses that can be exploited by his enemies. One of the most significant is his short temper. Wolverine is known for being quick to anger, which can lead him to act hastily and put himself at risk. Another weakness is his adamantium skeleton, which, while incredibly strong, can also be a liability. You see, the metal is highly toxic and Wolverine is constantly being bombarded by it, which weakens him over time. Finally, Wolverine's healing factor, while impressive, is not foolproof. It can be slowed or even stopped by certain substances such as the mutant growth hormone known as the purple goo. Despite these weaknesses, Wolverine has proven time and time again that he is a force to be reckoned with. He's taken on and defeated some of the most powerful villains in the Marvel Universe, including Daikon and even Lady Death. But what really makes Wolverine such a badass character is not just his powers and abilities, it's also his attitude. He's a lone wolf, a solitary figure who operates on the fringes of society. He doesn't play by the rules, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He's a true survivor, someone who has faced seemingly insurmountable odds and come out on top time and time again. Our next fighter is equally formidable. Hailing from the world of Mad Max, Imperator Furiosa is a legendary warrior who has captured the hearts of fans everywhere. Known for her fierce determination and unwavering spirit, Furiosa is a true leader and a powerhouse in the wasteland. She's a skilled fighter, a brilliant strategist, and a beacon of hope in a world consumed by chaos and destruction. From her iconic appearance with her war-painted face and braided hair to her badass attitude and strength, Furiosa is a true icon of the wasteland. She is a woman on a mission, and she will stop at nothing to achieve her goals. Whether leading a rebellion against tyrannical forces or fighting for the rights of the oppressed, Furiosa is a symbol of courage and resilience in a world that seems determined to snuff out hope. So who do you think will win the bug battle between Wolverine and Imp? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for now, folks, but don't forget to tune in next time for another epic matchup. Until then, keep on fighting, and may the best badass win.